Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name's Osirus and today we're going over the easiest methods to shiny hunt Drampa, Skarmory and Hawlucha in Pokémon Legends Z-A. Now all three of these Pokemon receive new Mega Evolutions in Legends Z-A, and they also have some of the best shiny forms in game. But because they're single spawn encounters in specific locations, shiny hunting them can be a bit awkward and slow if you're not using the right approach. So in today's video, we'll break down each of the Pokemon one at a time, going over the best shiny hunting methods, where to find them, and how to reset them consistently, so you can add them to your own shiny collection without the struggle. To hunt for a shiny Drampa or a shiny Alpha Drampa, there are two locations in game where Drampa can spawn, and one will be in Zone 19, and the other will be in Zone 20. Zone 19 is a lot more consistent of a method for shiny hunting Drampa than Wild Zone 20, because it really only appears in the central area and can be any one of those random 67 alphas that can appear there. So having that consistency of knowing it's always going to appear in this area at a certain time of day is definitely the way to go. But like I said, it only appears at a certain time of day. So the first thing we're going to do is just do a bit of setup. Come to any bench anywhere in the game, and you're going to just start a fresh day. So we've got the maximum amount of time to shiny hunt this Drampa, because Drampa, unfortunately, will only appear in Zone 19 when it is morning in the game. So when you look at the little dial in the top left-hand corner, when a quarter of that time has run out, that means that morning has ended. So that is not a great deal of time. So like I say, if you're in day yourself, change it to night, and then night to day. Or if you're in the night, just change it back today, so you've got that fresh cycle. We're going to drop a save as well in this initial setup with just a few things we need to do just to make this more optimal, and so we don't need to repeat this every single time when we're going to hunt the Drampa. So once that new day is started, we're going to head straight up to Zone 19, but not travel to 19. We're going to head to Wild Zone 8, because we don't want to run through Wild Zone 19. What I've noticed is you run through there, you spook the Drampa, it moves off the podium where it is located, and then that means you're wasting more time waiting for it to get back onto that podium. So you've got a consistent distance that we're running away from it to make sure that we're spawning in new ones every time. So take this route from Wild Zone 8, and this will bring you to the back gate of Wild Zone 19. And on that podium right in front of you there is the Drampa, and that's the Drampa that we're going to be hunting. So what we're going to do first off is put a pin down exactly where that Drampa is located on the podium. That's going to give us a good gauge of how much distance is going to be between us and the Drampa. Then the second thing, I want to be quick while doing this, is drop a save. You want to save as much time of the morning as we've got left. So we've got a good chunk. So from this point on, all we're going to do is turn around and run back the way we came towards Wild Zone 8, but just in a straight line. And keep an eye on the distance that you've traveled. You only want to go to 70 meters. Now you can see our pin is 70 meters away from us now. That is the despawn location. You can go a little bit further if you like, and then just turn around and come back to this area. The podium, the Drampa on the podium will have changed now when we come back. It might not be super obvious, but it will be changing. It will be despawning and respawning every time we do this. So this is a really consistent method for getting the shiny. Any despawn radius of any Pokemon is around 70 meters. So you can be safe in knowing that once we reach that 70 meter mark, as long as you've got your pin set on the podium correctly, you know you're going to be despawning when you hit this mark. And then when we come back, we're going to be getting a new Drampa. And hopefully an Alpha pops up here just to kind of show you an example of this, because it is definitely happening. I've had definite success shiny hunting this method, and I feel like it's the most consistent way to do it. Unfortunately, you can't fast travel to the area to despawn the Drampa because it's just out of range from the front gate. And you can't use any benches either that are close by, because again, Drampa is just out of range for that to take effect. So you need to be able to use the runaway method as the most consistent way, unless you want to just roll the dice in Wild Zone 20 and hope that you do get a shiny Alpha there, which is fine, right? You can increase the spawns. We've covered a video of how you can get 6 spawns in the center of that area pretty easily, and then you can just re-roll them and hope that you get the Drampa eventually in that zone. And if you've got a macro controller as well, then this is something that you're going to be able to set up. It's a pretty easy loop here, up and down. The only thing is it's not completely AFKable, because Did we go 70 there? I don't know if we did. We just want to make sure we're always going 70. You're having to keep an eye on the time, and we're getting close to morning ending now. Like I say, it's a quarter of that time. When it's gone, that will be morning over. So you don't get a long period of time where you're able to actually run backwards and forwards and get this Drampa, and probably what makes it a pretty hard hunt in this specific wild zone. But it is doable, and you are going to be able to get it. It's a great shiny, and it also gets a mega in this game, which is brilliant. So it's probably one that you're going to want to add to your collection. And I'm sure an alpha would be an amazing one that all of you would probably love to have. Shiny Mega Drampa is probably one of the best new shiny mega Pokemon that we've got in the games, and they've all been pretty good. And you can see morning has ended now. So when the morning ends, all you need to do is just reset your game. You've done that initial setup, and you're going to be able to just kind of come back in and restart from where you left off. So the quicker you do the setup in the first instance, the more time and morning you've got, and the less frequently you're going to have to reset your game and keep coming back to it. You can see back in game, we're back at a pretty early start of the morning. The Drampa's returned, and we can just start the process again. Our pin's already in there, and we just want to move that 70 meter away again and just continually do this. Now, I did this hunt a couple of days ago, and I didn't mind it at all. It was very reminiscent of the Dratini hunt, where you're doing the Dratini hunt up on the roof, and that wasn't too bad at all, especially when you're kind of probably more used to doing more grindy shiny hunts in older Pokemon games. This is probably as grindy as it's going to get in Pokemon Legends Z-A for shiny hunting. So if you're wanting a challenge, if you're wanting to do something a bit more manually, then this is the sort of hunt that you can do. And you've also got the chance as well, not only the Drampa spawning as a shiny in this area, but the Kangaskhan and all of the other Frufros and the Eevees as well that you're despawning in the vicinity, in this radius, while you're doing this process. It's just about being in a 50 meter radius to the Pokemon when you get down to this gate area. And if you are, they'll spawn in, and when we get up to the 70 meter radius at the top of these stairs, everything will spawn out. So we're essentially spawning in a lot of Pokemon in a very short period of time and getting a pretty good amount of encounters just with this short loop here. But continually repeat this process and you will eventually get a Drampa. If you've got the shiny charm, it will be a bit faster. If you haven't, then it may take a little bit longer. But hopefully for all of you that are attempting to get shiny Drampa in Legends Z-A, it doesn't take you too long at all. Next shiny Pokemon that we'll be hunting in today's video is going to be Skarmory. Another pretty difficult hunt, but hopefully with the methods that we'll show you in today's video, it's going to make it a bit of an easier shiny for you to get. Now, Skarmory does appear in 2 areas in Lumiose. If you've got access to the post game, you've finished that main story, you'll have unlocked Wild Zone 20, and Skarmory can appear as an alpha Pokemon in this area as one of the 2 alphas that appear in the central area from the pool of 67 alphas that appear here. So you can roll the dice, try your luck and get that alpha shiny Skarmory. But there is a bit more of a consistent method, and that involves going down to Wild Zone 17 where it spawns, and this is the more consistent method I prefer. So when you're ready, fast travel to this area. Once you're at the gate of Wild Zone 17, you want to make your way through and come around this area. We're going to be heading up to the upper level. It's on 2 levels. Down here you can find Diggersby and Chespin. Up here you're going to find Skarmory, and oh wow, I thought I cleared out the Pyro, but I obviously hadn't. These things are annoying, and yes, you'll knock them out and they'll respawn, but it's worth just taking the time to get rid of them because they're nothing but a nuisance because they're so aggro. Now the Pyro are gone. In this area, as you can see up there, we have Skarmory, and this is the Skarmory, the single Skarmory that spawns in this area that we can hunt. Now there are a few methods for shiny hunting Skarmory in this wild zone. You can see a bench in front of us, so that's probably the most obvious method to shiny hunt the Skarmory. Just cycle through days and nights, and every time you do, you're despawning everything on the field and getting a new batch in very quickly. And this method is also AFK-able as well. Now, I know plenty of people that have done this method with the bench and they've had a lot of success. They've got their shiny Skarmory and they're happy with it. But I've also heard a number of people who have used the bench and had some horror stories where they've spawned in the shiny, went to approach it, and it's just floated away, despawned, and they've lost it completely. Now, I haven't heard this happen with the runaway method that we're going to talk about, or the battle zone method, which is also AFK-able. And I just feel like these two other alternative methods are one I would recommend doing rather than saying the bench is a way to do this. I would hate to recommend that and then you have a similar thing happening. It's better just to make you aware of it, and then you can make whatever decision you want for shiny hunting Skarmory in this area. So just so you know, the bench method does have some issues. Maybe you don't get them, maybe you get your shiny and it's all fine, but just know that some people have had issues when shiny hunting on this bench. Now the first method is going to be the runaway method, and it's going to be very similar to how we shiny hunt the Drampa, although this one's a little bit more straightforward because we're just running backwards and forwards in a straight line. What you want to do is come to this other alternative gate up on this upper area, one that we're at now, and you want to drop a pin on the other side of the gate just inside the wild zone. And all we're going to do is turn around, run over the bridge and head 70 meters in the opposite direction of the wild zone. When we're doing that, of course, we know that 70-meter radius is going to despawn any Pokemon that are inside that radius. So we're moving outside of it, we're despawning the Skarmory, and this will also despawn the Pyro when they spawn back in on the field. Unfortunately, we are not going to be hitting the Mawile, the Lampent at night time, or the Klefki during the day up on the roof. So you are not going to be able to get shinies of those Pokemon. They just fall slightly outside of the radius of this Skarmory and the Pyro. So they're the primary Pokemon that are going to be shiny in this area by doing the runaway. And once you've hit that 70 meters, you're going to just run back. You'll see the Skarmory spawn in, and look, we get an alpha straight away. So that proves that, you know, the distance is changing the Pokemon. As soon as you get here, you want to just turn around and go back to that 70-meter mark and just repeat this process until you hopefully get that shiny Skarmory or a shiny alpha Skarmory in your game. Now, if you've got the post game, you're going to have access to another alternative method, and it's a much faster, much more effective method. Unfortunately, if you're not finished the main story, you're not going to have access to this battle zone that we need to appear right next to Wild Zone 17. So I'm going to hop over into my other game now that I've finished the story in, and I'll show you the method, how quickly and easily you can get a shiny Skarmory in your copy of Legends Z-A. So now I'm in my alternative copy of the game that I have complete. I've got access to the post game, got access to Wild Zone 20, so I can hunt there if I want. But there is another easier method to hunting this Skarmory, and like I say, it does involve a battle zone. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is make our way to any bench in Lumios. So once you're at any bench, you want to cycle day to night. Check where your battle zones are in Lumios. We're looking for one appearing right next to Wild Zone 17. If it doesn't appear this night day cycle, just cycle through again and repeat the process until you find this specific wild zone. It did take me a little while to get this one to appear, but it shouldn't take too long. With 3 battle zones appearing each night in the post game, you're going to have probably a little bit of a better chance to get it appearing quite quickly. Now, when you do get it appearing on your map, we can just fast travel straight to this area, and that's pretty much what we're going to be doing for this method. Unfortunately, there is no way to save the game right now and then reset and come back later. As you'll notice in the top right hand corner, after we fast travel, it does auto save. So it means that we will come back to the last fast travel point that we did, and we've only got 30 minutes to take advantage of this method. But it is a very effective, very fast method where we can just use this fast travel facility on this alternative gate that we would not normally be able to fast travel from. So every time we do this, we can see the Skarmory is spawning in, is flying away, and we can just constantly keep doing this until the night turns to day, the ZA Royale ends, and we no longer have this fast travel process. This is why you can do this as an AFK method, but unfortunately, after that half-an-hour period of the night cycle goes to day, then you're kind of going to be stuck having to set this whole thing up again. So this is what makes this hunt a little bit more tricky, but I do feel like the amount of resets that you're able to get through in a very short period of time with this battle zone makes it probably the most effective way to get the Skarmory. It's definitely a lot more faster than doing the bench method because you don't have those transition screens between each night and day cycle passing. If you've got a macro controller, once you get this battle zone set up, you can literally just program the macro and let the fast traveling happen for you. and then come back to it when the night has finished and it's daytime, and then check the spawns in the wild zone. So I did this method for about 2 hours after I managed to get the Z-A Royale location, the battle zone in this area. I had to reset it up a few times over, but I was persistent with it and did it. And like I say, a couple of hours is all it took, and then I finally got that shiny Skarmory. Fortunately, it wasn't the alpha shiny that I was kind of hoping for, but at the end of the day, we did get that shiny, and it looks amazing. I just love the green and the silver, and the Mega evolution looks amazing in this shiny form as well. I mean, the non-shiny Mega looks so good, so you've got a really good variant, even if you've not got the shiny, but it is an amazing shiny to get. It's a very hard one, but this method with the battle zone, if you've got access to the post game, is definitely going to be the most effective way to do it. If you're not in the post game, you've still got the runaway method. It's going to be a bit more hands-on, but it is definitely a consistent way to do it and should yield decent results in not too long of a time. Our next shiny hunt is going to be for Shiny Hawlucha. It is a rare spawn, and the shiny can be a bit tricky to get, but with the method that we're showing you today, hopefully it makes it an easy one. Now we're going to be locating it in the Juan Sector 7. You can fast travel to Cafe Kazuna or the Hiberno Pokemon Center. So once you're ready, just head to one of these locations. And once you're here, you're going to take a right and head down the street. Now you'll see in front of you a Holovator. Now, if you're not far enough into the story, a Holovator will be blocked. Now, I've just progressed to the point where this becomes available for me to actually unlock. But I'm not going to show you this method because I'm going to assume that some of you don't have access to this side mission yet. So there is an alternative way that we can access this rooftop, because the Holovator is the easy way. If you haven't got access to it, just fast travel to Wild Zone 15 or this area on your map. Once you're here next to Cafe Action, you're going to turn around and we're going to take a right and go up the scaffolding just on the corner here. So just make your way up, and you are going to need the Roto Glide function. So if you don't have that in your game yet, you're not going to be able to do this hunt until you have access to it. The Roto Glide is the only thing that you're going to need to access this rooftop. So you want to just come to the end of this roof, and there will be some ladders. They'll be blocked by the barbs here, so you're going to need to burn those to get access to the rooftop. And then when we're over here, you can see we have an Alpha Hawlucha on the roof already. Now, the method here is I would drop a save just in case you fall off and you don't do this correctly. But we're going to run, we're going to roll, and we're going to jump. So it's just a little tricky to get right, but as soon as you're off the edge, roll, jump, and then do the Roto Glide, and you're going to be there and across. Now, we want to try and avoid this Hawlucha seeing us if possible. So this is the location where the Hawlucha is, and you can hunt it up here, shiny hunt it. But there is a method to make this a lot easier. So once you're up on this rooftop, you want to make your way to this bench over here, and it is located right here on your map. So the Hawlucha is over on this roof here, we are here, and the Holovator is just over here. So it will bring you up, and you're just going to make your way over to this area. Now we are here. What we're going to do, sometimes when you come here, there will not be a Hawlucha on this roof, but a lot of the time there will be. If there's no Hawlucha, all you can do is just use the bench reset, cycle through day and night until Hawlucha appears, because you're going to need one. Now, it doesn't need to be alpha, we're just lucky enough to have an alpha. So we're going to go right up to it as close as possible, and we are going to drop a pin right in front of it, close to where we're standing as possible. Then we're going to get its attention. We're going to make it follow us, because we need to draw it away from the area where it is right now. So come on, Hawlucha, and with it being an alpha, it should probably be more inclined to follow us. And hopefully it flies across this area here, which it should do. Come on then, as it edges across. There we go. Okay, and it's over, and we want to just make our way down here. Come on, Hawlucha. If it turns around, well, what we're waiting for is that red eye to disappear. As soon as that red eye disappears, we're going to drop a save. So red eye disappear, drop a save, and now we are going to just completely pause our game and then reboot. So when you're back in the game, you'll see the Hawlucha is now in a new spawn point. We've kind of detached it from its original spawn point. We don't want to get its attention anymore, but we do want to put a pin on its location. So we're going to try and put a pin on as close to it as possible. That looks pretty good there. Now, what we're going to do is try and move a distance of 65, between 60 and 70 meters away from it. I always go to 65. It's a nice middle ground, but this can be something you play around with. You're going to have to go up on this roof. It's the only way that we're going to be able to get the distance that we need. There's 65 there. So we'll try this and we'll drop a save. And then we close the game again and we reboot once more. Now we're back in the game. We need to check to see the original spawn location to see if a Pidgey or another Hawlucha has spawned in this area. So we run over here. We'll just have a look on this rooftop. It does look like a Pidgey is spawned in. So we can just get the camera out and there's the Pidgey. So brilliant. It has worked. What we essentially did was we brought the Hawlucha away from its original spawn point over there. We took it to this location here, and we've kind of told the game that it's not there anymore. And then we've moved away again to a point where the game needs to respawn a Pokemon in this new area, and that's why the Pidgey's there. Now, what our next job is going to be, because this Hawlucha hasn't despawned and we've done everything right, we need to get its attention and bring it back to the area where it originally was, where that Pidgey now is. So get its attention. This one might be a little bit tricky. Come on, Mr. Alpha. You know you want to chase us down and get it to follow you. Get it over this bridge. We don't need to get it right back to the exact location where we brought it from, but just keep running away until that red eye disappears once again. And when it does, drop a save. That's it. Drop a save. And then close the game one more time. This is the last time we're going to do this, and reboot. And then we should have 2 spawns in this area. One will be the Pidgey, one will be the Hawlucha. We are guaranteeing every time we do a bench reset now, we're going to have a Hawlucha spawning in this area, where otherwise, sometimes it might not be the Hawlucha. Sometimes it might be the Pidgey. Sometimes it might be the Hawlucha. And you can never guarantee it. So it's not the most consistent method of shiny hunting using this bench right here. And now all we're going to do, because we've got both of them on the field at one time, is do bench reset. Now, be able to see, once we change day to night, we look across, the Pidgey and the Hawlucha will still be there. And all we are doing from this point on, because we have that guaranteed Hawlucha spawn on the rooftop here, which is unlike anywhere else that we can have in the game. And you can see now that it's changed from an alpha. We still have the Pidgey, and we just continually do this. Now, this is an AFK-able method where you can just put a band around your left analog stick and then have it pointing down. And then if you've got a turbo button, you can set that away and it will just spam, and you'll just constantly reset the bench from day to night and night to day. Or you can just use a band and then just mash A aimlessly and keep doing this for a long period of time until the Hawlucha turns shiny. And you do have a chance for it to be an alpha, of course, an alpha shiny, but this is probably one of the better methods that we've got access to in game to get yourself a shiny Hawlucha. Now, this hunt I set up on both my Switch 1 and my Switch 2 version. My Switch 1 is a completed version of the game, but it runs a little bit slower than my Switch 2, of course. I have a macro controller that I use on my Switch 2 that I was using for the bench reset, and then the turbo controller that I've got as well for my Switch 1. So I just left them running, and I had the shiny charm on my Switch 1, so I was expecting to get the shiny there a lot quicker than I would on my Switch 2, which was just the base odds. So I left this running for about 3 hours total, came back, and I actually found the shiny on my Switch 2. It wasn't, unfortunately, the alpha shiny Hawlucha that I was kind of hoping for, although I've already got one from Wild Zone 20, so I shouldn't be greedy, but it would be nice to get one in an overworld spawn using this sort of method as well. This is totally AFK-able, this method, but it is a really good one if you're wanting to get a shiny Hawlucha, and especially one if you're not in the post-game yet, because post-game you're going to have access to Wild Zone 20, but as long as you've got that roto glide function, I've shown you a way to get up on this rooftop. You can follow the method of just detaching the Hawlucha from its spawn point, dropping a save, and then bringing it back to this area and having the 2 spawns in this one location. And then all you're doing from that point on is just a bench reset. The only problem is once you start this hunt, you are pretty much locked in. If you leave this area with these 2 spawns on the field, it will just go back to 1 spawn, so you'll have to set it up again when you do eventually come back. But if you're dedicated to the hunt, if you're dedicated to getting the shiny Hawlucha, this is definitely the best, most optimal method that we have in game that we know of right now. So if you do try this for yourself, good luck getting your own shiny Hawlucha. I really hope that you get one, and it is a alpha when you do manage to find that shiny. If you found anything in today's video helpful, please consider leaving a like. It does really help out the channel, and do subscribe to stay up to date with all of our Pokemon Legends Z-A content. Good luck shiny hunting any of the Pokemon that we featured in today's video, and if you've got any shiny hunts that you would like to see featured on the channel, drop them in the comments section below. Thanks for tuning in, friends. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in another video very soon. So until then, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.